This is our class for November 16th. And here we go. We have a action-packed program today. And while we're looking at the main topics here, selecting a journal. And if you can recall, at the beginning of the class, I said, even if academic is the way that you want to go, two things are relevant for this course. Number one, you can take an academic article and turn it into a professional piece. And number two, the book focuses on either of the two. So the book can be used, and selecting a journal is an important topic both for professional and for academic publications. So this chapter, here we go. Let's go back to our second textbook comprehension test, and this was one of the questions. Your argument should appear. I'm going to go over some of the questions that had incorrect responses within the first 3 pages of the article, and that makes 8A the correct answer. You can look it up in the book. Over here, this one had some incorrect responses. We have an abstract. You can pause the video. And in D is the answer: no stated argument or claim for significance of that argument. There is nothing to say why the study is important, and the research question isn't stated, although they talk about the answer. The findings reveal that all 4 techniques were accurate, but again, what was your question and why should we care? You can pause this one and read it as well. And over here, and of course these are real abstracts, I'm going to have a look here. There were 2 answers here. Contains abbreviations, and sometimes in a professional piece everybody might know what the AICPA is, but here we have LIBOR as an abbreviation that isn't explained. And number 2, the abstract includes a citation. We have Cressy and Cressy, and as if that wasn't horrible enough, the author talks about Cressy 1953, and then they carry on and go Cressy 1993. This is an error. This 1993 should be 1953, and the citation shouldn't have even have been there in the first place. This question also had incorrect responses. 2 types of abstracts. The answer is A, structured and unstructured, and you can find this in the book, and that should confirm that that was the correct answer. Here we go back to our old definition, and I haven't changed this since the last talk. Here we go. The argument, the stance the author takes towards the problem, and we're talking about vetted by an editor, but which editor? And so if we go to page 112, extremely important piece in the textbook. Number 1, stating your argument early and clearly. Problem number 1 with submissions. And number 2, picking the right journal. And so when we talk about vetted by an editor, we do care about which editor we're talking about. Here we go. You will always see this. It will always be a reminder. Please take a note, take a photo, look at it daily. Daily, of course, when you write as well. A cover letter for a journal submission. And this is not the same as an author query letter. That comes up later in the chapter. How to write a cover letter for a journal submission. If you go to readings in our syllabus, I'm here, readings. I'm in the readings folder on the right. You can't see it. And here we can have cover letter template with additional link. You can go and have a look at that. I've posted it. It'll be a good use of your time. Selecting the right journal, getting your article written, attend conferences. Extremely important. This was where I was last weekend, Rutgers University. You can see the name of the conference up top there. Nice feedback. I was a speaker. You can see me on the right side here in the middle. And my topic was, they used 3 words there, systematic round down, but the long form of the topic was, is the unemployment rate systematically rounded down? And you can see there's a question mark at the end there. I had my research question right in the title. Another way for you to get busy and get into the mode of things is to join the American Accounting Association. So if you look at the top left, you will see the American Accounting Association's logo, and you will see the website at the top, the AAAHQ.org. Here we go. Select your country to begin, and I've already selected United States. Student membership, and student membership is $75 for this year. They've done a couple of things. $75 for this year, it'll be $100 next year, but you have access to the Journals tab, and we can see we start off with the Accounting Review, and we go all the way up to the end of the Journal of the American Taxation Association. You then have access to these publications, and it is more than well worth it. Back to conferences, and this is just something you can consider, especially if you're near Ohio. Or you can have something for your own region. I'm pleased to announce that we will be hosting the 4th annual All Ohio Accounting Conference, Ohio University Dublin campus, and he gives the dates. Similar to prior years, and here we go. All the details that you need to know to put that on your calendar. And even if you're not presenting, go meet with people. You will come back enthused and raring to go and invigorated. It is a nice motivator. However, you can see here paper and panel submission deadlines, January 16th. It is reasonably easy to get an acceptance at these conferences. You can see concurrent sessions. There are quite a lot. The feedback will be well worth it. This is where we are. Today is November 16th, and I'm posting this for next week. You have textbook comprehension test 3, but this was an easy week for you. The week of November 16th, nothing needed to be submitted, and as you can see, we are now a little over halfway. Week 4 chapter, choosing the right journal. I'm on page 112, and these are the headings for the rest of the chapter. We go here and we have the importance of picking the right journal. We have the gold standard coming up, and then we have debatable, avoid, attributes, finding the journals, evaluating the journals, and evaluating the fit. These are the main headings. Importance of choosing the right journal. And here we go, I'm on page 112. Important fact number 1, state your argument or your research question early and quickly. Number 2, choose the right journal. And right in the middle, the author says authors are rewarded for publishing in refereed or peer-reviewed journals. Then she goes with the gold standard, and amazingly, there isn't a heading called gold standard. It is just a paragraph in the middle of page 114. And when I go here, the gold standard, journals must be peer-reviewed, produced by an academic press, university or commercial, written for scholars, featuring authors who are considered experts in the field. You need to cite your sources, detail your methodology so that others can replicate or check your results. Middle of page 114, it's a paragraph there, and critical. We have many gems in the book. This is one of them. Not recommended. And here we go. The problem is we can see in the middle, and I'm on page 115 now, not recommended trade and professional journals. And what our class is all about is, in fact, publishing in exactly professional journals. However, there's an extra little paragraph about 2/3 of the way down on page 115, and it reads like this. Unless you're writing an article intended to instruct others in your field about how to do something well, such as how to record good oral histories or restore water-damaged paintings, such journals are not for you. And what I do care about is instructing other professionals in my field about how to do something well, which is why we do care about professional journals. Predatory journals. More on this later. I don't think I actually have more on this later. Predatory journals, read the paragraph on page 115. There is a question in your textbook test on predatory journals, and this is basically where you pay to publish, and they publish horrible articles. The horribleness doesn't matter. They'll publish basically anything. I'm sticking here with newspapers and magazines, and still one of our people where we aspire to be at newspapers or magazines. And remember, we spoke about Dana Hermanson. This is just one of the pages, well, the bottom of one of the pages and the top of one of the other pages. And this is what is meant by newspapers or magazines. This is letters to the editor, and he gets letters to the editor published. And so when we're talking about a letter to the editor, we are talking about exactly this. You write something, it's your opinion, you send it to the newspaper, and they publish it in the letters to the editors section. In fact, he has a number of journals or newspapers that he publishes in. That said, he publishes academic papers as well. I think this bit might well just be his hobby. Debatable. We'll see in a moment exactly a working paper series will look like this. Singapore Management, a top university. You can see the heading there, Research Paper Series. It should mean absolutely nothing to you when it comes to promotion or tenure. Here we go, they have papers. However, what I would say is go to these research paper series, such as this one. Go and look at the top downloaded papers, the top cited papers, and see what topics are current and what gets published. It's a nice way for us to see what people like. Conference proceedings. This is where you might have a couple of pages being a summary of your presentation at a conference. Chapters in edited volumes, and this is what I've done exactly over here. We have, you can see at the top, Princeton University Press, my favorite research topic of all time, Benford's Law, and when we go here, Chapter 8 by Negrini describes one of the most important applications of Benford's Law, detecting fraud. The chapter begins, and so, indeed, I do have a chapter in a edited volume. I would say do it as long as you're doing other things at the same time, and it really is better to have a chapter in an edited volume than to have nothing for the year. Graduate student, these are more often law journals that do this. Open access journals. Now here I have to take a little bit of a different line than the author. The author has a section on exactly open access journals, but in accounting, What we do have in open access journals, I can see the bottom of page 120. In accounting, we do have the Journal of Forensic, JFIA. The journal JFIA, what I'll do in the notes to this, I will give the full name of that journal, and JFIA is a good journal even though it is open access. Non-US journals. Note journal. What they talk about as well is economics letters. A note journal is where the article is really short, and I think economics letters limit you to 2,000 words. So she is saying it is debatable. However, we like it over here, and it works well as a publication, even right here at West Virginia University. I'm talking about economics letters now. So read the section and take note of what she says and the fact that we think it's pretty good. This is a new journal. I was asked to do a review for this journal, and I had absolutely no clue how good they were, and I needed to know how good they were because I needed to know what their standards were, and if their standards were pretty low, then I would probably accept what I was reviewing. You can see there, article publishing charge for open access. Everything goes extremely quickly. This is an update. And so if you want to assess the quality of a new journal, what I would suggest you do, go and see what they've published. You can see the 2 volumes there, a handful of volumes here. Look at the article titles and look at the authors. And what you want to see is the authors' affiliations, and if the authors are affiliated at what we might call lower level research tier schools, if that's where they're publishing, then this journal will not be seen to be high quality. So you take your cue from the other authors, and you can also have a look at the editorial board, who their editorial board members are. And again, if you see lower level research type institutions, then you can at least get an early opinion as to whether you want to go there or not. Preferred. Newer journals, and I've just spoken about this one over here, but you're going to have to assess whether this looks like it's going to be a good one as it runs. And by the way, that JFIA is the Journal of Forensic and Investigative Accounting. And it is, you can just go JFIA, and it is an open access journal. You can see the titles and download everything for free. Preferred. Newer journals, but check the quality. Field journals are exactly the main journals in a field such as economics, accounting, or finance. Pretty hard to get published there. Disciplinary journals would be the same thing, and for us the example is something like the Journal of Accounting and Economics. Extremely difficult to get published in. When I was a newly minted PhD, I remember I was working with somebody called Stanley, and Stanley was going to publish his research in the Accounting Review or one of the other top journals, and he spent hours and hours and weeks and months, and in fact years, and I don't know if he eventually even got published, but that's what he went for, and it is possible to, in the end, not even get published. I like special issues over there, and so we will go back quickly. The American Accounting Association, $75 for you. And here we go, special topic forums. And so this is the Journal of Forensic Accounting Research. They have special topics, and if you can fit into one of these special topics, you have a good head start. They struggle to get enough papers to fill a special topics issue. So if you write something and it only has to be pretty good, not superb. You will get published, and it'll count as a fully fledged publication. Again, you will see something like this: calls for submissions, upcoming deadlines. I've done this a few times, done forensic accounting research using court case data. If you slot into one of their categories, you're going to win, which is exactly what I did over here. You can see special forum, forensic accounting in a digital environment, and this is my research paper, an examination of and a commentary on the increased length of published research papers. And my final claim there was our papers are getting longer, and this is an impediment to having professionals research our paper. If you would like to see the paper, I will post it in the readings. If nobody asks for it, then I won't post it in the readings. This is a section here going from page 126 to 131. It's a bit easier now to find suitable journals, and what I've done is I do have a PowerPoint slide on suitable applied professional accounting journals. I tell you what I will do. I will post my journal list in the readings folder, and you can look at it there. And this, of course, would be my list of applied professional accounting research journals. So by the time this goes live, I would have posted page 126 to 131. And I just want to help you a little bit. If you read journals, if you go to the journals, read them, see what they publish, that's a really good start in finding a suitable journal. You can see where your article might be most at home. We have this resource. We have that resource. You can enter the journal titles over there. And we have the gold standard list, the Australian Business Deans Council Journal Quality List. You can see the reference over there. You can go to the journal quality list, and if you download the entire Excel file, it's going to look something like this. You can field of research. Accounting is 3501. You can sort. You can look for the A's, the B's, and the C's. You have all the titles over there. And this, of course, would apply to academic and professional publishing. And there's a note in the book on page 133 about send your article to the leading journal. If it gets rejected, send it to the second-ranked journal. If it gets rejected, send it to the third, and so on. I'm about 10 lines from the bottom of page 133. This is terrible advice, and I'm happy to say the author says that this is advice that you might receive, and it is terrible advice, exactly her words as well. So we don't want to do that. The fees for professional journals, usually zero. For the academic journals, they can be high. Journal of Accounting and Economics, A+ on anybody's list. Extremely difficult to get published in that journal. And here we go. $650 for unsolicited new manuscripts. And your paper could be rejected without being sent out for review. So you pay your money and you take your chance. Journal of Accounting Research, also A+. The journal has been around for more than 50 years. But when you submit, it's not going to be cheap. We will, of course, be a Tier 1 country, and it's a $750 submission fee. I've published in this journal as well, as has Professor Jack Dormany, who also teaches in our program. You can see the title of the journal there, and they also have a submission fee, but it is more reasonable. $200. And I urge you, because if we go back here, backlog. How many articles are in the queue waiting to get published? Let's have a look at this journal. Again, Journal of Accounting, Auditing, and Finance, $200. You can go to the journal website. It will look like this. And right there, view online first articles. This would exactly be a list of the articles that have been accepted for publication and not yet published. And you can see, once you go there, count how many articles are in the queue. And I'm afraid their queue is rather big. I'm going to skip ahead now to page 146, a query letter to the editor. And page 146, the query letter to the editor is telling the editor what you've done and asking whether they think it will be a good fit for their journal. That is a query letter. If we go back to Dana Hermanson, when we go letter to the editor, and I talk letter to the editor of a newspaper, this is where you sprout your opinion about something, and it better be interesting, relevant, and your idea. So I'm going back to something else that I published. I first presented this topic June 2014 at a conference. And there we go, an engaging analysis of the numbers used in actual fraud schemes. 2014. A while later, I did a presentation to the Albuquerque, New Mexico chapter, and you can see I updated my talk, and after years of improving it and improving it and improving it, I saw an article in Fraud magazine, and it was a Benford's Law article, and it had a statistical error. And I wrote to the editor and said, how would you like, could I do an article fixing the error? And then after some to and fro, we decided, hey, how about I write an article on this topic that fixes the error and talks about a whole lot more on exactly this, and I'm going to retitle it as well. So I have the fingerprints of fraud numbers. These are the 6 categories that I talk about. And here we go. Dusting your data for the fingerprints of fraud. You can see I submitted in July. I've attached my first draft. The idea came about in 2013 when I was preparing my proposal for the 2014 conference. I talk about the Get Published document, which is what they do to authors. And again, I talk a little bit about my paper here. You might want to note that this isn't an editor query letter. The editor query letter was before, when I said, are you interested in this topic? And they came back and said, yes. So you can see my article. You can see other resources where I'm sending them to other places, and I forget what that is about. Here we go again. You can see, and I've kept this small, lots of letters back and forth. So this is the original submission in July, all the way through to September, and all the way through to December. Many, many emails back and forth, tidying things up, and the like. And this is different to what would happen with an academic article. I'm working with the editor. He's working with me. We're going to get a really fine product when we're done. I was very happy with it. I'm proud to say that this is the title article. Dusting your data for fraud fingerprints, page 32. Learn from the acclaimed authority. Apparently, that is me. Very nice to get the title article on the cover. And this is the message from the president. And here he, in fact, so this is his message at the beginning of the journal. And he talks about Mark Negrini. And as Negrini writes, I thought this is very nice. And what makes this different from an academic article is I now have, I don't know whether all 120,000 members actually read the journal, but 120,000 people have access to my work. In the end, they do the art. It looks really nice, nicely formatted, nicely titled, nicely set out, and a bibliography at the end. So we do want to know where else people can go. And you can see one of the items is pointing to another one of my professional articles in the Journal of Accountancy. And I urge you to also think about the Journal of Accountancy as an outlet for you. I really just want to emphasize all this back and forth, starting over here, but this is just where I submit. There was a whole series of emails before that where I'm talking about, would you like an article on this topic? And I've been at it since 2013 when I was preparing my proposal. Module 6, you have a new textbook comprehension test. And that is the only graded activity due on November 24th, which will be in a week from now. I have a few notes here, and you can see the underlines in red and blue. This is Microsoft Word trying to help me with my grammar. For test 3, I urge you to, ahead of time, even though nobody takes 1 hour, go to this website, look at the research journals, go to this journal and look at the +1 journal. Just cruise around there, give it a visit. This is a question to do with predatory journals. You can have a look before you actually open the test. And this is the Journal of Accounting, Auditing and Finance. This is their website. And there is a question on the test about this journal as well. Let's see how we did. We went back and looked at the textbook comprehension. We looked at the abstract, and we looked at a few other questions. I always go back to the prior concepts: daily writing, where we are, just over halfway, selecting a journal, excellent chapter. If you simply see a published article in a journal, you don't have any background as to how the author chose that journal. A few notes about the test, and I'm saying go there and visit for a while. Spend a couple of minutes on each website. When you do the test, you've already been there, or you might even have it open as well. Note on submissions, the only thing that you have is the textbook comprehension test. And here we go. We'll have one more of these recorded classes. On November 30th, I will do a Zoom, which is different to the date in the syllabus. I will be available for office hours if you do want to talk to me.